I'm going to show you 100 clone troopers that LEGO has never made. And unlike YouTubers who just talk about what they want, I actually made these in real life. Last time I went overboard on Phase 2 clones, so this video is dedicated to Phase 1 clones that won't be tempted to execute Order 66 halfway through the video. Let's start with the clone trooper everyone knows, Captain Rex. LEGO made a few versions of Captain Rex over the years, but it's been a while since they made him in Phase 1 armor, which means we definitely need a remake. Here's what he would look like if LEGO made him today, in 2014, and all the way back in 2002. LEGO did make an animated style Phase 1 Rex, but it didn't have arm printing or leg printing. This minifig from Redmill Custom shows what he would look like if LEGO chose to add those details. He provided me with a bunch of other minifigs in this video, so I'll tell you which ones are his. Rex's name was originally Alpha 17, but unlike alpha males on TikTok,
I'm too smart to read.
he mainly appeared in comic books. If LEGO decided to make Alpha 17, he might have looked something like this, or this. I wonder how different it would have been to have Alpha 17 leading the 501st instead of Captain Rex. LEGO made two different versions of the 501st Clone Trooper, but they never made a Phase 1 501st Trooper. Some people think they would look like this, but they would be wrong. They do look really cool though. Here's what the Phase 1 501st Troopers actually looked like in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and here are some examples of what they would look like in LEGO form. Redmill's design is the most accurate, but I still really like the inaccurate designs just because they look cool. One of the most underrated 501st Clone Troopers is Denno. He's most famous for letting Cad Bane borrow his armor. What a nice guy. Here's what he would look like in the animated style, realistic style, and 2020 style. Would you look at that? Cad Bane's borrowing his armor again. And I know some of you guys are like, he wears macro binoculars. Where the heck are they? This one from Redmill Custom is wearing them. There you go. Another 501st clone that was brutally unalived was Mixer. Please don't demonetize me, YouTube. I don't know what the droid that killed him is called, but I don't want to ever see it again. If LEGO chose to make him before he became a victim of a horror movie, he would look like this, or this. He looks a bit weird in the realistic style though, since he hasn't been seen in live action, but that's actually a good thing. Yeah, no thank you. I would not like to see a live action version of his death scene. You thought I missed his buddy Red Eye? Incorrect.
Yeah, very funny, Mixer.
I care about all the fallen soldiers who died to super scary droids. Thank goodness Redmill sent me one, or I would have probably forgotten about him. Anyway, speaking of dead clones, let's talk about a clone who almost died from an explosion. If you think I'm talking about ARC Trooper Echo, you're wrong, but nice try though. This is regular Phase 1 Echo. He's not an ARC Trooper yet. I only made him in the animated style, but I would have liked to see what he looks like in the 2020 style as well. LEGO, if you make him, please make sure his helmet looks okay before selling him. I have no idea how Fives passed through quality inspection. When Fives was an ARC Trooper, he had a really fun time almost dying on Umbara. Meanwhile, Kix was casting heal spells or doing whatever medics do to keep clones alive, wishing he was back on Seleucami when times were simple. Oh wait, that hasn't happened yet. He looks so happy. The only thing he's had to deal with so far is Rex falling off his speeder. What a clumsy man. Redmill made Kix, Hardcase, Jesse, Dogma, and Tup. So pretty much the whole Umbara squad before they had severe trauma. Tup? No. What? You can't kill the Jedi yet. Sorry, his inhibitor chip isn't working very well. If you want any of Redmill's minifigs, the link to his website is in the description. But that's enough 501st. Let's move on to Commander Cody in the 212. LEGO made Phase 1 Commander Cody before, but he was a bit inaccurate, which is why Redmill made an updated version with more accurate chest printing as well as leg printing and arm printing. I also made an OG style Commander Cody with an open visor, which looks super cool if you put a transparent blue head underneath and shine a light through the back. You can't talk about Phase 1 212 troopers without mentioning Waxer and Boyle.
Nara?
No, I'm Waxer.
I made both of them in the 2020 style, realistic style, and animated style, which brings me back to when they were in the LEGO Star Wars The Clone Wars video game. Redmill also made Boyle, which has even more details printed on the helmet. He also made a Phase 1 212th Trooper, which again has much different markings than Phase 2 212th Troopers. If LEGO would have made a 212th Trooper back in 2002, it would have looked like this. I would say it looks nostalgic, but most of you probably weren't even born before 2015, so even this Wolfpack trooper is older than you. The sand blue color is cool, but I would have loved to see them wearing dark bluish gray armor too, like this one from Redmill. He also made a dark bluish gray version of Commander Wolf, and this one where Wolf's helmet is mostly gray. By the way, all of Redmill's figures are pad printed, which is the same exact printing process that LEGO uses. He also made Sinker, Comet, and Boost, which are pretty underrated clones in my opinion. Another underrated clone from an underrated show is Captain Fordo from the 2003 Clone Wars. Seriously, if you haven't watched it yet, it's only 2 episodes long and is literally on Disney Plus, which you're probably already using to watch the slop that Disney is putting out. I give you permission to pause the video and watch it. Okay, I assume you watched it now. I made Fordo in the animated style, realistic style, 2020 style, and even a version that was made to resemble the 2003 Clone Wars art style. I also made an ARC trooper and a regular clone trooper from the show. If I could be any clone trooper I wanted, I would be a workout clone from Star Wars The Clone Wars, purely because they have a 6-pack. I made one in the 2020 style, realistic style, the iconic animated style, and even the OG style. Some people say this is an unrealistic beauty standard, but remember, anything is possible with a gym membership and a crap load of protein shakes. I had such fond memories playing LEGO Star Wars The Clone Wars as a kid, and one of the most hilarious scenes from the game is when Lieutenant Thyre gets his arm shot off. What? That's not the funny part. What? This is a serious injury. Why are you laughing? Then he attaches it back on, equips a freaking droid head as a weapon, and starts slapping droids with it. Redmill made him, Rise, and Jack, and if you pair them with Yoda, they could humble Ventress and a whole battalion of droids any day of the week. Another iconic member of the Coruscant Guard is Commander Fox. Actually, iconic might not be the best word of choice because people hate him for doing that. LEGO made him all the way back in 2008 before the incident, but he didn't have a lot of detail. Redmill updated him by giving him leg printing and arm printing, and I gave him the correct accessories that make him look even more accurate to the show. Redmill's Commander Fox is about $100 cheaper than buying the LEGO one. Yeah, don't buy the LEGO one. He also made a riot trooper, which I gave a visor, a baton, and a shield, so he's ready to arrest the guy who makes a living selling death sticks. Wait a minute, is that Obi-Wan Kenobi? Meanwhile on Florum, a member of the Coruscant Guard is trying to help Jar Jar ride a blurg, but it's not going very well. Commander Stone is pretty good at it though. Okay, for real though, it would have been really cool if LEGO made Commander Stone, so I'm really glad that Redmill was able to show us what he would have looked like. Speaking of red clones, LEGO never made Commander Phil. Probably because the most memorable thing he did was die to Grievous's massive cyborg lizard pet.
I will destroy him.
But I made him in the 2020 style and Redmill made him in the animated style. You can also buy some pretty cheap accessories from his website that make him look much more accurate to the show. Redmill made a Phil Trooper too, and I think most of them got obliterated in different ways while trying to break into Grievous's house. Commander Keeley's death was much more heroic. He died with his general trying to defend refugees without the proper supplies to fight, or any reinforcements. To honor him, I made him and some Keeley troopers in the 2020 style, realistic style, and animated style. Let's give Keeley some kind words in the comments. He deserves it. The next clone's name is Buzz. No, not that Buzz. This is what he actually looks like, and here's what he would look like in each of LEGO's styles. But I think it looks a little weird in the realistic style since we haven't seen him in live action. Another green clone is the Clone Sergeant, which LEGO has made before, but not in the 2020 style. I also made a lieutenant, a captain, and a pilot. Wait, that's not a pilot? There it is. I also made each of them in the animated style. Wait a minute. Is that a Mr. Potato Head clone trooper? LEGO is finally making Commander Bly, but the chance that we'll ever see him in Phase 1 armor is pretty low. Redmill made him the animated style, which looks so nostalgic, and after adding accessories, I just know this minifig would be worth a fortune if LEGO would have made it back in the day. I mean, who wouldn't want to buy one of these? Bly is in charge of the 327th Star Corps, and LEGO made one before, but that was all the way back in 2007 before most of you were born. Not to flex, but I was 5 years old back then. Okay, go ahead. Call me Unc. Actually, I'll take it as a compliment. If LEGO would have made a Star Corps Trooper when the Clone Wars came out, it would have looked something like this. Okay, maybe they wouldn't have printed the legs or the arms, but it looks really cool, right? We also see 41st Troopers in the Clone Wars alongside Commander Bly, and this animated version blends so well with LEGO's Commander Bly. I honestly don't know why I keep making animated style clone troopers in the realistic style, because this one just looks really unnatural, but the 2020 style looks solid. Speaking of Commander Bly, Redmill upgraded Bly to have printed arms and much more printing on his helmet. He also made his own 41st Trooper, Draw, and Buzz, who has an immaculate mustache, by the way. Sometimes I get the 41st mixed up with the 442nd because they're both green and start with the letter 4. Wait, the number 4. We've probably all seen them in Phase 2 armor, but Phase 1 442nd Troopers are a lot harder to find. Here's what they would look like in the animated, realistic, and modern style. Wikipedia says Plo Koon is in charge of the 442nd, but I thought he was in charge of the Wolf Pack. Does he own 2 different clone legions? Another green clone legion is the Horn Company, and I already know what you're thinking. LEGO already made them, and you're right, but they never made one in the realistic style or the 2020 style. It's pretty cool to see them alongside the one LEGO made in 2011, and now that I'm thinking of it, I should have probably updated the Bomb Squad clone too. I don't know how I forgot about them, but I didn't forget about the 91st Recon Troopers. I made them in the 2020 style, the realistic style, and the animated style. Redmill made one too, and comparing the arm printing, his looks a little better with the red shoulder pad. Looking at the arm printing reminds me of Mace Windu with printed arms from the Republic fighter tank. I really wish LEGO made some purple Phase 1 clones. Oh wait, I can do that myself. This one is basically the same one that LEGO made, but with a Phase 1 helmet and arm printing. And these other 2 are alternate versions that LEGO could have made over the years. LEGO could have also made Kamino security clones, which we saw mostly in the later seasons of the Clone Wars, but here's what they look like in Phase 1 armor. If LEGO made one of these, I would probably have an involuntary moment of silence for 10 minutes because there's no way LEGO would make one of these, especially in Phase 1 form. LEGO will also never make Phase 1 Golden Clone Troopers. Yes, this is 100% real, and I made it myself. I also made Phase 2 Golden Clone Troopers, and if you want to see them, you can click this video right here. Or you can watch this one where I made 100 more clone troopers that LEGO never made. The choice is yours.